This is my Hayburn Wyke walk, a 9-mile circular route on the North Yorkshire coast taking in the Cleveland Way and Ravenscar. I set off from the pay and display car park near the Hayburn Wyke Hotel on a clear morning. The hotel is an 18th century coaching inn, once served by its own railway station on the Scarborough to Whitby line. From the hotel I cross a field and drop down into the woodland at Hayburn Wyke. A short detour takes me to the waterfall, where Hayburn Beck tumbles over mossy rocks through the woodland. Continuing down through the trees, the sea begins to appear through the branches ahead. At the bottom of the path, a wooden footbridge crosses Hayburn Beck just before it reaches the sea. A rocky ledge gives a fine view over the beach and out across the North Sea at Hayburn Wyke. Down on the beach, Hayburn Beck cascades over the cliff face onto the shore as a small waterfall. Looking north, the cove stretches out in a sweep of rounded boulders and seaweed-covered rocks. Hayburn Beck has exposed the Hayburn Wyke plant bed, containing fossils of around 60 Middle Jurassic species. From the footbridge, I climb a steep flight of wooden steps up the other side of the valley. Back on the cliff top, the views open up with cliffs to the right and green fields to the left. I join the Cleveland Way, opened in 1969 as the second national trail in England and Wales. The path dips and rises along the cliff top, with sweeping views as I head north towards Robin Hood's Bay. This stretch also forms part of the King Charles III England Coast Path, nearing completion at around 2,700 miles. Both trails share the same route along this stretch of coastline, one of the finest walking destinations in England. At Petard Point, a welcome bench offers a fine view out over the North Sea. The path narrows and becomes more sheltered, with gorse bushes and trees arching overhead like a tunnel. A wooden bench sits right on the cliff edge, with an uninterrupted view stretching to the horizon. At Common Cliff, the coastline curves away to the north with the cliffs falling steeply below. The North Sea stretches away to the horizon, with cargo ships just visible on the water. Ahead on the cliff top, the surviving remains of the Ravenscar World War II Radar Station come into view. Opened in 1942, the station detected enemy ships by sending radar signals out across the North Sea. First I reached the Coast Guard station, with the remaining radar station buildings visible in the field behind. The buildings included the communications hut, transmitter and receiver block, fuel store and engine house. The Ravenscar Radar Station is now a scheduled ancient monument, part of the National Trust estate since 1986. The communications hut is where radar operators tracked enemy aircraft formations around the clock in 5-hour watches. Radar was developed by Robert Watson Watt in the mid-1930s, and stations like Ravenscar formed a vital part of Britain's coastal defences. The transmitter and receiver block was the operational heart of the station, where radar data was plotted and processed. Inside the transmitter and receiver block, the remains of blast shutters are still visible in the windows. The fuel store housed diesel tanks and was positioned apart from other buildings to reduce the risk of fire. Rumour has it that farmers grazed sheep near the buildings to fool enemy surveillance into mistaking them for farm outbuildings. The engine house contained a backup generator to keep the radar station running during a mains power failure. Inside the engine house, the outline of the machine bed that once supported the generator is still visible. Leaving the radar station behind, I continue north with Robin Hood's Bay, visible roughly 4 miles ahead. At around 146 metres above sea level, these are high cliffs with a dramatic drop to the sea below. A signpost near Ravenscar points towards tea rooms, but I press on along the Cleveland Way for now. A large white Victorian house built in 1899 comes into view, sitting in isolation on the cliff top. Beyond the house, the sheer cliff face drops to the sea with seabirds flying overhead in a clear blue sky. Robin Hood's Bay sweeps into view, with the village just visible beneath the cliffs in the far distance. I pass the Ravenscar Hotel, originally built in 1774 and opened as a hotel in 1895. The view from above the golf course is the finest on the walk, with the full sweep of the bay laid out below. Gorse bushes line the descending path, with green fields rolling down to the cliffs on the far side of the bay. Sheep graze on the golf course fairways, with the village now clearly visible on the far side of the water. Back on Station Road, I passed the Ravenscar Coast Guard Rescue Team, a volunteer unit providing coastal emergency response. The Ravenscar Tea Rooms are a traditional cafe popular with walkers and cyclists, with indoor and outdoor seating. I joined the Cinder Track at the old Ravenscar Station platform, once part of the Scarborough and Whitby Railway. The Cinder Track follows over 21 miles of the former railway, open to walkers, cyclists and horse riders. Heading south on the Cinder Track, the path is wide, level and bordered by dry stone walls and farmland. I passed the site where accommodation buildings once housed the radar station crew, now almost entirely demolished. The Cinder Track passes beneath Bent Rig Lane through a handsome stone-built tunnel with a red brick arch. A tree-lined cutting creates a natural avenue along the track, quiet and sheltered after the open clifftop. I passed the former Staintondale railway station, opened in 1885 and now a well-maintained private house. Staintondale closed on the 8th of March 1965 as part of the beaching cuts after 80 years of service. The track passes through another stone tunnel, this one more weathered, with ivy creeping across its face. The Cinder Track continues south through the trees, with the Hayburn Wyke Hotel waiting at the end of the route. For the full route description, photos and maps, visit paulbeal.com or search Paul Beal Hayburn Wyke.